Coffee had always been Lisa's kryptonite. She needed it in the morning, and today was no different. She had been sipping on her latte and scrolling through her phone when a commotion occurred. At the entrance of the small yet crowded coffee shop stood a homeless man. She noticed how people put their bags next to them, indicating that there was no place for the man. Seeing the heartbreak in the man's face, she couldn't help but feel sorry for him. She offered him the seat next to her, but never thought her kindness would be repaid like this. But before we start, smash the like button and make sure to subscribe if you haven't, and hit that notification bell so that you won't miss any new stories. Lisa had always been a compassionate and caring person. Growing up, she watched her parents extend a helping hand to those in need, whether it was volunteering at homeless shelters or donating to local charities. Their selflessness had left a lasting impact on her, and she had vowed to do the same. One morning, Lisa went for her morning coffee. She usually took the coffee to go, but this morning she had a little more time on her hands. She decided to sit down at a table and scroll through her phone. She was happy to have some time for herself, but it didn't last long. As Lisa scrolled, she suddenly heard whispers and murmurs around her. She quickly saw what the commotion was about. In the middle of the cafe stood a homeless man. He saw her looking at him and headed toward her. As he got closer, she couldn't help but notice the dirt and weariness that covered him from head to toe. She felt a bit uneasy at first, but as soon as she got a better look at him, that feeling faded away. As he approached her table, it was clear some people had other ideas about the man. Most of them tried to keep it to themselves by whispering to their friends. But when she offered him a seat at her table, one man thought it was best to speak up. "Leave that lady alone, will ya?" The homeless man got startled by the man's sudden yelling and let go of the chair he was pulling back to sit on. But Lisa interfered. "It's all right," she said with a confident voice. "He can sit here." She looked at the man, smiled reassuringly, and reached out her hand to say, "Please sit down." The homeless man hesitated for a moment, unsure of what to make of the situation. After hesitantly standing there for a few seconds, he gratefully accepted Lisa's offer. Lisa's presence seemed to create a shield, offering him a safe space from the harsh judgment of others around them. "My name's Lisa," she said, her voice warm and welcoming. "What's your name?" The homeless man replied softly, "They used to call me Jack." Lisa nodded. She could see the weariness etched into Jack's face, the struggle he had gone through. At that moment, she knew she had made the right choice, despite the disapproval around them. So Lisa offered to buy him one. Jack was taken aback by her kind gesture. No one ever treated him like this. Lisa signaled for the waiter and ordered a coffee for Jack and her. Lisa engaged him in a conversation as they waited, trying to make him feel comfortable. "So Jack, how has your day been so far?" she asked, genuinely interested in his well-being. Jack looked down at his weathered hands. "It's been rough." Their coffees quickly arrived, steam rising from the cups, filling the air with a comforting smell. "Go ahead, Jack. It's for you," Lisa encouraged, gesturing toward the cup. However, when she looked at the time, she suddenly realized how late it was. She had to get to work. Lisa hurriedly put her belongings in her purse and explained to Jack she was late for work. Jack understood and thanked her for the coffee. Lisa was about to turn around and head for the door when Jack suddenly grabbed her arm. "I'll never leave you again," he said while staring into Lisa's eyes. Confused by what just happened, Lisa smiled and freed her arm from his grip. She walked through the door and headed straight for work. But the last sentence Jack said to her lingered in the back of her mind. What did he mean when he said those words? With her heart pounding in her chest, she walked over to the car. But when she looked behind it, there was no one there. Confused by the situation, Lisa continued what she initially wanted to do, go to the park. Lisa tried to push the mysterious shadow out of her mind as she entered the peaceful park. She walked along the winding paths, enjoying the serenity and the beauty of nature surrounding her. As she strolled deeper into the park, her unease grew. She couldn't shake off the feeling that someone was watching her. She quickly turned around to walk back to her office building, and at this point, she was almost running. Her heart raced, and she felt a heaviness in her stomach. It wasn't until she was back at her office and behind her desk that she started to feel safe again. After a few minutes, she started to feel like herself again, and she delved into her work. As the workday came to an end, Lisa's mind began to wander back to the events of the day. As she packed up her things to go home, she realized her heart was beating faster than normal. She was afraid to go outside, and even more because the sun was starting to set. Only when she was home, with every door and window locked, did she feel safe again. As she lay in bed later that evening, she couldn't help but think about the homeless man. She had encountered so many, some even scarier than the one from today, but never had they had such an impact on her. The next morning, Lisa woke up with a new sense of determination. She was done being so afraid and anxious all the time. She headed to her local coffee shop and sat down at the same table as the day before. Hoping she would run into the homeless man again, she drank her coffee, sipping very slowly to pass the time. It was almost time for her to go to work, but she ordered a glass of water anyway, as she hadn't seen the homeless man yet. Finally, as she took the last sip of her water, she saw the homeless man walking past the shop. Lisa quickly jumped up, threw some money on the table, and ran after the man. "Wait! Wait!" The homeless man looked over his shoulder and stopped walking as soon as he saw it was Lisa who was yelling at him. He looked happy to see her, not ashamed at all that he was stalking her. She angrily walked over to the man. "What did you mean yesterday?" she asked him. The homeless man frowned as he let her words sink in. "What do you mean?" "Why were you stalking me yesterday?" she asked him now more directly. I don't know what you're talking about," he said. But Lisa knew he was lying. "Yesterday, outside of my office building, I saw a shadow behind one of the cars. Then, later on, it seemed like someone was following me into the park." Jack looked at the ground. I'm sorry," he simply said. Lisa couldn't believe it, so it wasn't all in her head then. "I followed you to your office building, as I thought you were my daughter. I haven't seen her in over 10 years, and you resemble her so much. But as soon as I realized you weren't her, I stopped, I swear," Jack said. "And when was that?" Lisa asked him. "That was after I followed you into the park. As I saw you walking around there, I realized you couldn't be my daughter, as she hated strolling around anywhere. She never liked the outdoors. She was more of an inside type of girl." Jack sighed. "I miss her so much." Lisa's anger was slowly going away. She now felt sorry for Jack. Lisa was glad that this was all behind them now. But she didn't feel at peace yet. She wanted to bring Jack in contact with his daughter. After days of searching, she finally found her phone number on a Facebook site. And after speaking to her, she agreed to see her father again. Jack and his daughter were reunited a few days later, and she even decided to welcome him into her home. Because of the small act of kindness from Lisa, Jack was able to find a job and eventually even find his own place to live, only 10 minutes away from his daughter.